Okay, so we're live. There's normally a countdown, so that kind of threw me off. So, anyway, I have been working shows now for let's see, probably since about 5 years. And in my time of doing that, I have learned quite a bit of what you should do and what you shouldn't do. And I will say that this weekend I saw a lot of things that you shouldn't do, and I'm here to bitch about it. Hello, everybody. My name is Cody Singdahl, and I am the author. I'm the author of 5 novels and 2 nonfiction works, and I'm about to publish my 6th novel. Well, probably in the next couple months. I'm so sorry. It's been a minute. I saw that the last time that I have done a live was November 11th. So and it's December 9th now. So it's been almost a month. And there's no real excuse for that. Other than that, time just kind of got away from me. We went up to Milford, Michigan, where my mother lives, for Thanksgiving. Saw some of my sisters and their kids, and that was a great time. And it was just crazy. And then I got back, and we were gone for 4 days, and that's just enough time for me to um, feel like I've fallen behind. So I had a lot to do when I got back, and then just like I don't know, time just gets away from you. The other thing I should tell you, and it's no secret, I don't talk about it a lot on social media, but I have something growing in my throat. It's probably a tumor. I've had a CAT scan and MRI, and a week from Friday, I'm going to go and have a biopsy. So they're going to cut in there. They're going to put me under and check it out. I don't know what it is. My grandfather died of throat cancer. I don't smoke. I haven't smoked since I was a teenager. But whatever it is, it makes it really hard for me to speak, or to eat, or to feel any kind of comfort because I'm always in pain. Uh, the uh, the good side of it is I have lost quite a bit of weight, which is fun, and we'll see. I mean, right now, like I can't. It My taste is gone. I don't taste things as well, and it hurts to eat, so it just makes it miserable. So it's made me this way. But I'm not here to complain about it. I'm just making excuses for A, well, I haven't done this as much as I have in the past, and B, if I'm slurring my speech, it's because I'm having a hard time. My tongue was swollen, all that kind of stuff. So anyway, I feel kind of bad because I was invited. I have this rule: I don't pay for tables, and I wouldn't blame you if it did. Oh, I didn't mean to have this up already. Well, that's fine. That's my table. And the reason why is not because I'm too cool for school or anything like that. It's just that it's not a good business move for me as a author for most of the venues. Most of these venues, they want 70, 80. I've seen tables for like $150. And the profit margin I make on selling a physical copy of my book is not a lot. And so already we're talking about a lot of time, like blowing your whole weekend working on a table and all that. So when you factor in that and the gas and food and all that, and then what you take in profit. Remember, my books, I have to pay for them up front, and sit on that, having paid for them for a while. I always keep anywhere between 10 to 30 books, copies of each book. Um, so what I sell a book for $12. I didn't just make $12. I probably made $5 or $6, to be honest with you, when it comes to hard copies. If I'm selling stuff on Amazon, I make maybe $2, a little bit, $2, a little bit more than $2. Depends on the book, anywhere between $2 to $4 per book. So you would think, well, why don't you always sell? Because I can't do the volume. I mean, I would have to be like just selling books all day long at a regular pace to even make a living. Um, but with Amazon, I'm selling in the UK, I'm selling in Japan, I'm selling all over the world. So I can do big volume. And that's why I focus most of my business on Amazon sales as opposed to direct sales. And when I do direct sales, I do shows like the Middle Tennessee Civil War show, which we're going to talk about here. And I also do I'll do shows. I get invited to talks where after the talk, I'll do an author signing. Those usually do a little bit better because it's more focused. People are there to actually hear me talk, and a lot of times they're there to, they want to buy a book while they're there. We're at a show, you're just hoping that people walk by and see your stuff and they're interested and you pitch. And this is where I'm gonna really get into my what not to do. Because when you have a table, you have to work that table. It's not a matter of just sit there and collect the money. You have to work it. But we're going to get into that in a minute. So back to my original point, it's for me, it's worth it to spend the time and the effort, and it is a lot of effort, to drive. Sometimes like when I go to Mississippi, it's a 4 or 5 hour drive, and I have to get a hotel room overnight. So sometimes even if I don't pay for the table, it's still kind of at a loss, but it's worth it to me because this is building the readership. This is getting out in front of people, talking about your books, meeting new readers. And what's great is the majority of the books I sell online are ebooks. I do about 25% of physical copies, and everything else is either they're buying an ebook or they're paying for a subscription in which they can read my books, and I get a royalty from that too. So when I sell a physical book, that is a physical item that exists in the world that reader is going to read and then lend it to someone else. And maybe that someone else is going to read it and say, you know what, I really like this guy. And they'll come back and they'll buy books as you put out. And the truth is about being an author in modern days that writing a single book and becoming a millionaire because of one book, that's like, you might as well be playing the lottery. It's writing multiple books and continuing to write and building a readership so that as in the readers that got on board early on stay with you. And as you write more books and bring more people in, more people are discovering you, the better each of your new books too. And the more your name gets out there and as you write new books and people discover you and they say, oh, this is book 6. Oh, wait a minute, I'm going to go read book 1. Now, I write every book as if you haven't read the previous ones. But a lot of times when I put out a new book, my back catalog also starts selling more. So, and my pace right now is I put out a book almost one for every calendar year. Sometimes it takes me a little longer. I would say it takes me about anywhere between, so far it's been 9 months to 18 months to write a book, to start from start to publishing. So I don't really pay for tables, but I accept them. And the reason why people do comp me tables from time to time is if they want to fill out their show and they want to have, it's one thing to have people selling relics. There's another thing to have actual living authors signing books. There's a certain element to that. The other thing is I'm a fiddle player. And so a lot of the Civil War, I play a lot of 19th century stuff. So a lot of the Civil War events, like the one out in Mississippi and the one I went to last weekend, it adds to the show. This weekend, one of the big reasons why I'm allowed to a corner of someone's table is because I'm one of the few volunteers. In fact, I think I'm the only one. Am I the only one who is willing to be there at the beginning? And I think me and one other guy did the closing with Chip, the regional commander. And maybe it was both those guys, but I'm willing to be there for the setup, tear down, everything between. And the reason why is because they're going to give me some space at the table to sell my books, and that's great, and that's worth it to me. And I'm very grateful for that, and that's why I'll call them and not just set up my stuff, but set up their stuff too. And the purpose of their table is this is the Sons of Union veterans, the Camp 62, which is the Middle Tennessee camp. And the purpose is to bring in new members, right? I mean, any kind of club, religion, political party, you want to bring in new members always, because people are aging out. They pass on. You want to keep the thing going. So this is a recruitment drive. So what I'm going to talk about isn't just something that affects me selling books, but it affects their own efforts to get new members. And by the way, I mean, I am eternally grateful for the Sons of Union veterans, and if they'll have me back, I'll do it again next year. And the thing I'm going to talk about, I talked to the company commander, and he's like, you're absolutely right, and we're going to work on this. But first of all, let's talk about the good things. So I'll tell you, I did okay. I've done better at other shows. The attendance of this, no, I don't have the numbers, but I feel like starting with last year, it wasn't as big as it has been in the past. There were days where I was selling anywhere to 10 to 20 books a day. This last weekend, I sold 12 books altogether, which is, it's okay. I always say if I sell at least one book, it's worth it to me. And the other thing about my own performance of selling books is, the attendance wasn't that big. I also had to cut out on Saturday because it just so happens that this weekend, it was the same as last year, maybe the year before, falls on the same day that Massacre Station does their Yule Fest, which Paul is my partner. He plays the banjo. We have a duo together. Paul and I play Yule Fest every year. And that gig, I have to be there at 4, and that's Franklin's about a half hour south of Nashville, and I would say Gallatin's probably Goodlettsville is about 20 minutes, half hour north of me. So there's an hour in between. So I have to cut, even though Saturday goes to 5 o'clock, I got to cut out at 2. So I missed 3 hours of sale because of that. And I'll tell you this also, the dynamics of a show like a Civil War show that's over the weekend is Friday is load in. Sometimes there's a preview crowd. Sometimes you can sell things to other vendors that are there that they've set up their tables, they're bored, they're walking around. A lot of times, especially when it comes to relics, this is the time where people are making deals. Sometimes there's some swapping going on, vendor to vendor deals. And a lot of times I have vendors that buy books from me. All right. So anyway, this here is the is my my stand. I only have a corner. I'll show you a bigger picture. But this is so I have all my stuff kind of squashed. I mean, when I have a full table, I kind of spread it out. But this is how it looks Saturday morning. And you can see I got all 5 books there, and then on the back there you can see the French Fiasco. It's got a coming soon badge on it so that you know it's coming. You can see a visual thing. You can see down in the right-hand corner, there's a sign-up list. This is for my email list. By the way, in the description below in the notes, there is a link to sign up for my email list. Why would you do that? Well, a lot of my books, everything except the most latest one, go through like every 90 days. They'll go through like a 1 week 99 cents or 99 pence special. So that is and I will email my list to let them know that I got, something's on special. If you want to buy a Kindle book for $1 or £1, quid, as cool kids say in the UK. I'll also let you know when something new comes out, like for example, when pre-orders start for the French Fiasco or when the French Fiasco is out. I'll also let you know when I'm going to be at something. So if you want to come out and see me and shake my hand and talk to me and tell me what you didn't like about my book, have me sign a book, whatever, come on out. I'm going to let you know when I'm going to be in at some kind of public thing. And but the other thing is next year I'm going to write a novella that's going to be free and exclusive to the list. It's going to be an ebook format, and sign up for that. It's going to be a prequel to Rampage on the River. Like, yes, Mask of My Love is a prequel to Rampage on the River, but that takes place about I can't remember about 12 years before Mexico or Rampage, or I can't remember, but it more than 10 years later. The prequel that I'm going to write, which is called right now the working title, which I think is going to be the title. It's going to be called the Underground Railroad Ball. It's going to it's just a few days before Rampage on the River starts. So sign up for the list for that, and I'm really excited. Once I get the French Fiasco out, about a month later, I'll start writing it, and sometime in 2025, the novella will come out. I'm going to do that before I write another novel that I'm going to sell. So I'm going to write this novel without making a penny off it, except for hoping that it's going to help me build my my email list. Okay, so this is what my my setup on. Like, I have a third of the table, so everything's kind of compact. My fiddle's there because I'm going to play the fiddle. There's a tip jar. I made $2 in tips because some people tip me when I play my fiddle. I brought the pickle hub just to give you some kind of visual thing that gets people's interest. And it's not just Civil War I write about. I write about German wars too, Mexico wars as well. And there's me smiling in my setup there, all ready to go. I got my uniform on, and this is the whole table now. Okay, so this is Sons of Union Veterans, and so you can see where my section is, and then you can see where their section is, and most of what their section is trying to get people to sign up, become members of the Sons of the Union Veterans. Okay. All right. And I had this was great. I had a young kid who he was 11 years old, and he was so excited that there was a guy playing the fiddle, and I think they came from South Carolina. They were traveling, and so saw me, got his fiddle, and we played a little bit, but most of it he's a reader. So his dad drove him back to the hotel. They got his music, and this is us playing Ashokan Farewell together. And then after he goes away, and about 10 minutes later, the announcer comes on and is like, "Hey, everybody, we have a treat. We have an 11-year-old boy playing fiddle up here on the concourse by one of the ushers. Come by and check him out." So we got him started. I was a little boy and I saw a fiddler at a restaurant, and that's why I always wanted to play my entire life. And so hopefully this kid's inspired to keep playing. All right, so I sold my first set. You can't see, but she bought all three. The deal with that is it's like, I think it's $10, $12, and $17, but if you buy all three, $35. She took the deal. Here's one thing to do: offer deal. So I mean, if you buy more than one book, you're never gonna pay. You won't pay full price for that. So it's the more books you buy, the cheaper it is. So my books go 10, 12, 17, 14, and 12. But if you buy the first three, it's $35. If you buy the fourth one with it, the $14 books is I throw it on for $10. You buy the fifth one, $12. Another. So if you buy all five, it's $55. She bought all three, and I understand that because the other two books are not Civil War. So I don't know if she's a Civil War only enthusiast, and that's a whole other tangent I can go on. I won't, because I don't want to bore you to death. But I found that Civil War enthusiasts and historical novel enthusiasts are not necessarily the same audience, and a lot of the Civil War guys are Civil War buffs are not interested in reading novels. And a lot of the people who are into historical novels aren't interested in the Civil War. So I'm myself. I get a lot of these guys. I'm going to tell you a story about one that's going to be a little anecdote of what I'm going to talk about later. But they come over there and they're like, "Well, I don't read novels." I mean, they almost like look down at you because it's a novel and not like a memoir by some guy who fought in the war or something. They only read nonfiction stuff, and I always say, look, I understand. Of course, you never want to argue with people. The customer's always right. But I say, look, uh, all the historical aspects, like the historical characters and the battles, that's all real and true. And it's just my characters are interwoven into the real history. And I really work on that really hard, that the historical parts of my books are absolutely accurate, because I think it's a big responsibility to write historical novels, that you don't want to lead people astray. So I'm giving you what really happened. I'm just adding my story into it. I always say it's like the sugar with the medicine. All right, so she was my first on Saturday. Then this guy bought just Rampage. Nice guy. And then this guy, I love this guy. Ryan, is it Ryan Gray? And you may recognize him from one of my previous pictures, because he is a repeat customer. This is the best compliment ever, is that when you do a show every year, and some of these shows I've been doing for 5 years now, someone comes back and they had bought books from you before, and they came back and they want to buy the latest one because they've read everything and I loved it. And I'll tell you something about him, and I don't want to give too much away, but there is a reference in Mexico, My Love, to a famous literary character. And I hide it very subtly, even though this character is in public domain. And this character doesn't have a speaking part. It isn't actually in the book, but he's referenced because he's related to somebody. And he's referenced quite a lot throughout the book. And no one, I don't know if people get it or not, but no one has pointed it out to me or has asked me, because I never name him by his name. I use his nickname, but I don't say the nickname in the language that it's usually said in. So all the hints are there of who this person is. And what I was saying, is in public domain, but some people think they own the copyright and they're very litigious, so you have to be very careful with it. But I don't have anything to worry about, because it's anybody can write this character. It's not Robin Hood, but it's like Robin Hood. Anybody can write a Robin Hood novel. If I want to write Robin Hood novels right now, I can write Robin Hood novels. I can write King Arthur novels. I can do, any of that, no problems. This is another character where you could write about direct novels about him, but there might be someone that might want to sue you. They would lose. But that literary character is only mentioned in a reference from long ago in that book, if that makes any sense. I don't want to give away too much. He's the first one to get it. But anyway, he had read Mexico, My Love, which was the penultimate novel. And then, so he wanted to read The Prussian Prince. So he came right up, got it. Loved this guy. Great talking, great visiting with him. I hope I see him next year. So here are some of the people. That's Gary on the let's see, screen left. Gary was there over the teardown. Was Gary my dad? Gary's a great guy. He might get me in. There's a Battle of Nashville, I think 160th anniversary this weekend. And Gary is working. I have a gig on Saturday. I have a gig on Sunday, but Gary said he might be able to get me in playing fiddle and selling books on Friday. That'd be great. The guy in the middle, I don't know him very well, but I've seen him around. He's a General Lee impersonator. And the guy right next to me is Tom, very sweet guy. He and his wife are to Abe Lincoln, and it has escaped me. Lincoln's wife. They're there, and then of course me sticking my fat belly out. Oh yeah, and then like I said, I had to. We did the gig, or I did that, and I had to leave at 2 because Paul and I do this Massacre Station thing. It's a tough gig. It's a paying gig, so that's nice, and they pay us really well. But it is usually when I play, I set a timer. We play for like 50 minutes, take 10-minute break, come back, 50 minutes. My limit is 4. After that, I mean, there's just you wouldn't want me playing after 4 hours of playing. It's just too much because it's not like orchestral playing too, where you're playing and you're resting, you're playing, or playing in a band where you're taking the solos. This is constant playing. I'm playing the melody for every single song, so I'm constantly playing. So I have to rest my shoulder, my fingers get numb, and eventually, like I start off kind of, I warm up a little bit, so I'm not. I start okay, and then I get warmed up. I'm really good, and then somewhere in the middle of the gig, I start falling apart, and then I kind of get my second win. But this is I could talk about this a lot, but this went really well. Paul's a great partner, great banjo player. And then Sunday morning, I was back and I got some of my figurines out. It's funny. We're sons of Union veterans on this side. The backs of those people are sons of Confederate veterans. Very sweet people. The only thing is they got this enormous horse that kind of crowded us in and kind of led to what I think was some of the problems we were having. And some of the to-dos. So this woman, she was just interested in the Prussian Prince. She had not read any of the ones. And like I said, I mean, the best, I would say, my advice would be to read from all the way they're numbered. Rampage, On the River, you read the Civil War trilogy, then read the Mexican prequel, even though it takes place before the first book. And the reason why is because there's a little bit of a mystery that gets solved at the end of the second book. So if you read the prequel first, it's going to spoil that for you. But I have had people read the prequel first and then read the series, and they say, "Yeah, it's fine." I mean, yeah, there's a little, when the mystery kind of comes up, what the truth is, but it didn't change their enjoyment of it. But she was just interested in the Prussian Prince. So hopefully she'll come back for the if she's into Germans, hopefully she comes back for the Prince Fiasco, because that will be a direct sequel to the Prussian Prince, and it's great. So my best writing, yeah, I'm very excited. It's full. It is a fiasco. It is full of turns. There's a turns. There's a return of a lot of. If there's some characters that you like from the previous books, a lot of them are coming back for it. And the French Fiasco is going to be kind of a new resting point for the story, because it's going to sit there for about a year or two, because then I'm going to have to write the novella, and then I'm going to write Black James, which is a pirate book that's going to take us away from Carl's story for a while, and then we're going to come back. I don't have a name for it, but the next book that will be sequentially in the series will be it'll be kind of a Northern African, Middle Eastern adventure for Carl. And more on that later. Okay. And this woman here, I tell you, Blood for Blood is probably one of my, it's getting closer and closer to being my top grossing book. It's bigger and it's formatted in a way that it's more expensive to make, but my royalty is bigger too. So it's close to being my number one. Rampage is still my number one moneymaker, but this one's getting up there. Why? It's a thick book. But I think Nathan Bedford Forrest really sells it because people are fascinated with him, love him or hate him. And it's also features the Battle of Nashville. It also has the Battle of Franklin, but there's a lot of novels that have the Battle of Franklin, but this is the Battle of Nashville. And I think I'm the only guy who's got a novel about it. So people want to read about it. She runs one of the historical sites in Sumner County. Sumner is just outside of Nashville, probably, and so she works in the historical community, running a historical site. So I'm really excited about the idea that she wanted to read my book. Hope she reads it and likes it. And who knows? I told her, I said, look, I do all this fiddle stuff, so might get a gig out of it. I just got a new gig today, by the way. I'm really excited about it. I'll talk about it a little later. And then this lady, bless her heart, man, she came over. We talked a little bit. She wanted to buy a book for her daughter, who's a voracious reader. I said, you know what? If I were to recommend one book for a daughter, I mean, I think anybody could read my books and enjoy it, and everybody do. I get girls, boys, men, women, black, white, gay, straight. I get them all. But Mask My Love is it's a it's a it's it's a uh, it's a love story. It's a tragic love story. The main protagonist is a woman. I would recommend that first. But she came back and she's like, I'm gonna get them all. And she lives in Minnesota, so she's gonna get them all, and she's gonna give them to her 15-year-old daughter, probably for Christmas. She says, "Oh, she'll read right through these, voracious reader." And I can't tell you what a gift that is for me. So there's a 15-year-old girl who's going to read this and hopefully love it. And a lot of women read my stuff, even though it's war and adventure. A lot of women read it and love it. In fact, if you notice, I had more women buying my books than men this time. If I can get that girl into my books, if she reads them and loves them, that means a reader for life, man. That means someone who will want to buy the French Fiasco when it comes out. And by the way, this woman got on the email list. That means the French Fiasco, Black James, the books that come after that. I'll tell you the kind of names I'm going with, but the one's called The Empire of Cotton. I don't know if I'm gonna stick with that. There's a Western, there's a Japanese one, there's a World War One called Carl's End. I don't know if I'm gonna you didn't hear that. I don't know if I'm gonna keep that title or not, but I'm gonna be writing books as long as this thing doesn't kill me. I'm gonna keep writing. All right, so I think that ends it. Okay, so let me tell you what you should do in a at a show, and then I'm gonna tell you what you shouldn't do. And all right, so you can't you have to be proactive, right? Especially if you're paying for that booth, right? Because people are walking by and they got money. A lot of times people want to take something home. Now, the relic sellers, that's a bigger engagement, right? Like you're gonna buy, I wanted a saber. I think the cheapest ones I saw were $150. I don't even know if they were authentic or not. I want a sword. I like swords. But books should be a good compulsory buy. So I am trying to sell books. I want people to buy books, and so I got my eyes open, and I'm looking to see if somebody walks by, and let's say I'm playing the fiddle, and usually the fiddle that gets them interested. They come over, and then they look down the book, and as soon as I see a little flash of interest, I stop and I say, Chip was making fun of me because I was doing this, but man, I'm there to work it, man. I said, hey, I wrote those. And they go, really? And that's the first thing I would say is that an event like this, there are plenty of people selling books, but I don't think any of them are very rarely are there actual authors. There's usually just people that have books that they got a bunch of books and they're selling them there. So Chip was making fun of me. Of course, he was like, I know you're doing your thing, but that does make a difference because it's one thing to just buy a book. Oh, that looks interesting. I'll pick it up. But then when you realize that the guy sitting there playing the fiddle is the actual author, now there's some interest. Oh, really? And now they're interested. And so now you have to pitch those books and you got to do your elevator pitch. So you don't want to memorize it, but you want to have it kind of formed the way you say it, so that so you can get it out fast. Now, my series is crazy because it's not just Civil War. Like Bernard Cornwell's series, Sharp series, it's all Napoleonic War. So any of those. Mine's kind of crazy. So I say, yeah. I go. So the other thing I have to remember, you have to remember where you are too. So I'm in the South at a Civil War show. Most of the people there are pro-Confederate. It's just the way it is. Okay. I'm wearing a Yankee uniform at a Yankee table selling books about the 2nd Michigan Cavalry. I gotta be quick to let them know that I'm not trashing you guys. I'm not your enemy. So I'll say, I go, yes. I go, the first 3 are Civil War. It's about friends that get separated at the beginning of the war and end up on opposite sides. So there's heroes and villains on both sides. Right there, I'm telling them, boom. This is not the Confederates are the bad guys, and the Yankees who burned down your farms and raped your daughters are the good guys. That's not what I'm. That's not what the book's about at all. So that puts them at ease, right? And then I say all the then I say all the historical aspects, um, like the historical characters and the battles are all true, and then my characters are interwoven into into the real history. So that takes care of concern number two. Michael Stelzner talks about this. If you listen to the podcast, the social media podcast, you have to think about what are what's the word he uses for it? Not the reasons why people say no, their concerns. So concern one was, are you trashing the Confederacy? No. So I took care of that. Concern two is, there's a different word for that. I can't remember the word he uses, like concern or reasons to say no. Those friction points. Second one is a lot of them like, well, I don't read novels. Okay, so all the history in it is true. There are sources, and unlike most novels, I put sources in the back of my book. There's also a historical note that explains all the historical parts of it in better detail. So that's concern number two being addressed. So then I say, so the first three are that. The fourth book is a prequel. It's about the parents of one of the characters. I say one usually. Sometimes I say the main, but I try to say one because I don't want to give away that the main character lives that long. About the parents of the main character, how they meet in France, fall in love, go on a big adventure, end up in the Mexican War. And then the last one is about one of the characters, once again, because I don't want to give away too much. Civil War vet comes home. His German wife has gone back to Berlin to be with her family in his absence. He goes to be with her, ends up in the Austro-Prussian War. And then the next book that comes out is a continuation of that in the Franco-Prussian War. So you don't want to over-describe things because you'll bore them and they'll walk away. So give it to them real quick and then be open for questions and talk. And hopefully they'll be interested. A lot of times you get guys that will just sit there and they'll thumb through it. Like, I don't know if they're looking. Are you checking to see if there's words in there? Because they'll do this. So they're finger fucking my books, man. Thumbing through it. At what? Are you looking for pictures? Or what are you looking for? You want to prove that it's not just blank pages. That when they do that and they don't buy a book, drives me nuts. Or they just sit there, and this is what we're going to get into. This is what drives me crazy. And it's one thing when potential customers do it. But when a big fat guy who has no intention of buying your book comes over there and listens to your pitch and says, well, I don't read novels, and then spends the next 40 fucking minutes standing in front of you telling you about his goddamn ancestor. And like, really, that's interesting. That's interesting. And as you're doing that, all sorts of people are walking by. They might have been interested, but here's some big fat guy who wants to tell you everything he knows about the Civil War and everything he knows about his ancestry, and he ain't gonna buy a goddamn thing. Okay, so there we go. Now I gotta tell you, I have told my girlfriend this, and maybe if you don't know, I need to tell you too. I'm a Yankee. I'm from Detroit, right? And one of the cultural things, the culture clash that I got into down here is that we, especially us Detroiters, have an emphatic way of speaking, right? And so we sound like we're angry and we like to rant, but a lot of times we're just having fun and we're just fucking with you. So when I'm about to go off on this, don't think I'm going to have a heart attack and I'm that angry. It's just the way I talk and I'm very passionate. But anyway, so it's one thing when the potential customer, you got something because you don't want to ship them away. But when your own guys, the guys that are supposed to be working the fucking table with you, are running interference, not just for me selling my books because I'm a grifter. I'm allowed to be there for free to sell my books, but even for their own purposes, when they're trying to get people to sign up for their club, and they're running interference. And the volunteers that show up, the volunteer are actually doing the opposite. So here's what happens. All right. We set up and people show up because they're like, okay, I'll volunteer. But they don't actually understand what it means to volunteer. It to them, it's just showing up and being there. And sometimes they'll come, they'll sit behind the table and they'll look at their phones or they'll talk. Or they'll go walk around. I love it when they go walk around because otherwise they're taking up space, right? But what happens, it happened the first day. One of the guys, he's standing, instead of sitting down behind the table, he's standing in front of the table and he's looking back. He's looking at us behind the table talking. And so while he, and on the first day, the guy was standing right in front of my books, just standing there, touching them, just talking. He's one of us, you know. And there's a couple other guys. And finally, I say, "Hey, man, do you think you could stand?" Because he brought like a little display of like badges from the regiment that his ancestor was with. Could you stand in front of your thing instead? Because I'm trying to sell books here, man. Because I'm watching. People are walking by and they're walking along the tables, right? They're walking very close to the tables and they're looking at everything. But then they get to our table and there's a bunch of guys, our own fucking guys, man. Our own fucking guys are, instead of standing behind the table trying to engage with people, they're standing in front of the table talking to us, working the table. And because of that, people walking by think, oh, well, they're busy, so I'm going to keep walking. So they're being polite. And so these guys are just like fucking rocks in the river, diverting the stream away. So it's like anti-sales prevention, man. And yes, I'm not one to, I have no place to complain because I wasn't even going to go because I dropped out because, to tell you the truth, I'm a starving artist and I can't justify paying dues for a club that I can't justify it, right? And so I didn't think it was my place to say, hey, do you think I can come back and sell books at the table again? I dropped out of the club. Well, Chip doesn't let me go. Chip, I love Chip, and thank you, Chip. Chip originally paid for me to get into the club, and then they started collecting dues every year. I'm like, hey, man, I'm sorry. That's not what I thought I was doing. I want to be part of it. Someday I will. Right now, I have other things I got to worry about, like the fucking cancer growing in my goddamn throat. Once I pay all those medical deals, maybe I'll pay the fucking dues. But anyway, Chip's a wonderful man, and he's like, hey, man, will you come and work the show and you sell your books? And he's like, hey, man, I'll take care of the I'm like, look, I'm not asking for anybody to take care of my dues. I will volunteer anytime you guys need me. I don't need to be part of the club. So I'm very grateful that I'm allowed to be there. So I'm a guest. So it's hard for me to say, hey, assholes, get the fuck out of the way of my books. You're killing my sales, right? But what's worse is they're killing their own sales. And I watched it happen all day fucking Saturday and all day Sunday. They're standing in front of where people can sign up. They had a guy come up. He's looking at their stuff. No one is paying attention to him. They're all talking amongst themselves about, well, did I ever tell you about my ancestor? And, well, he was at the... Hey, guys, he's wondering, he lives in Alabama. He was wondering because he's asking me because I'm the only guy who's actually working the fucking table. He's wondering if he can join in Alabama. And at first they're like almost shocked that I interrupted them talking about their fucking ancestor again for the 10,000th time. You got a guy not trying to buy my book, trying to sign up for the fucking club so he can stand around and talk about his ancestor. Why don't you come over and fucking help this guy for a second? Your grandfather is still dead. You can come back and talk about him 5 minutes from now when we take care of the fucking reason that we're here. I mean, otherwise, let's just go back to the lodge and we'll just take turns talking about our fucking grandfathers, man. Come on. What are we doing here? But And what I'm saying, and like even when it was like one guy, and I said it at one point, and there was Chip. Chip was standing out there too, and there was a guy. I was like, "Hey, man, I go, you guys are creating like people are walking around you. They're not stopping at our table." And this one guy looked at me like I just like stuck my bubble gum on his grandfather's grave, man. I'm trying to point out an obvious thing here. We're working the fucking table. We're not just it. And I swear, I'm not kidding you. It may have happened. I didn't see one person who showed up to volunteer outside of me. And I was more concentrated on selling my books. Talk to anybody who showed up and guided them over this is what you gotta do to join. No one did that. They volunteered at best by showing up and at least sitting in a chair behind the table and staring at their phones or talking to everybody else around. I mean, and I'll tell you, it drives me nuts because everyone wants to talk, and I'm a talker too. I mean, look, I'm about to do an hour by myself talking, but I'm not there to talk. I'm there to talk to customers. And I'm also irritated when I get a guy who comes up and I think it's a customer, and then it's clear that he's not going to be a customer, but won't go away. And I have to go, wow, that's really interesting. And I'm constantly looking because while this guy is talking to me, this is a potential customer. It's not one of our guys. While he's talking to me, people are walking around him. They don't want to interrupt. And who knows how many potential books I could have sold. Now, I'm not saying like this one, I mean, hey, if I sell one book, it's worth it. Okay. It's true. If I sell one book, it's worth it. I sold 5 books on the first day, 7 books on the second day, 12 altogether, made a little money. It was worth it. Got rid of some inventory, Um, so it was worth it to me. Would I have sold more books if I didn't have our own guys running defense, basically creating a defensive line around our table, keeping every possible, not just customer for me, but possible sign up for the Sons of Union Veteran? Maybe. Would have been a lot. I don't know. I'll tell you this though, because it was. Admittedly, I will say, hey, it's a lot less people than before. I will tell you this: when the volunteer left, who insisted on standing out in front. And that's what happens. Even though the guy's not standing in front of my books, he's still standing in front of the table. And so even after we said, and then Chip even said at one point, hey, why don't you come sit down? Oh, no, I'm okay. I was watching. Even though he's not standing in front of my books, people are coming down and they see him. So before they even get to our table, they're already arcing around him to give him space because they're being polite. And so they may catch my book or the signups out of the corner of their eye. But most of them don't want to interrupt whatever he's talking about, you know. So once he left and stopped playing defense, anti-sales prevention, I started selling books because now there's no one blocking our table. And people are coming along, and what they're doing is they're walking along the edge of all the tables, and so they're walking. The people before us got World War II stuff, right? So they're looking. Actually, before that, there was a family from Pennsylvania that had all sorts of trinkets. So they had like World War II stuff, and they had trinkets. Interesting. And they come past us and like, oh, look, books, and then there's sign up stuff, but because one dude. They're walking all the way around. But once he was gone, now they're staying on the track. And now they're coming right up to where I am. Does everybody stop and buy a book? No, but I sold several more, including a woman who bought all 5. And that wasn't when the dude was standing there playing defense against, God forbid, anybody stop at our fucking table. So I hope not. Please forgive me, Chip, or any of the people that that you might recognize yourself in this story. Look, man, I know that I don't have a right to complain. I was given an opportunity, and I told Chip. Chip wanted to buy me lunch. I said, I can't, man. It's nothing but agony to eat. Thank you. I bought something, a couple sausage muffins from McDonald's. It took me all day to eat them because I can only eat a little bit, and then I'm in pain and I got to put it away. Um, so anyway, it was a good experience. I'm very grateful for what I sold 12 bucks. I may have sold more. I don't know. It was fine. Yeah. I mean, for them, just like think about what you're fucking doing, man. Why are you here? That's not volunteer. Don't come then, or come get in free because you're a volunteer and walk around and have a good time. But don't sit behind the fucking in front of the table and block it from everybody else, please. For those of us who actually are going to do the work. The other thing that drives me crazy is that I'll sit there and take quite a bit of, oh, really? Your great great grandfather was at Shiloh? Wow, tell me more. I'll take some of that, okay? But then I get worn out because everyone wants to talk, and I'm trying to play it nice because, man, I want to sell a book, right? But then as soon as that guy leaves, then the guy working the table with me is finally got his opportunity, and then I finally think I got a break to maybe catch up on my social media marketing or update my books, my records for selling, or play a fiddle tune. Nope, the guy working the table with me. Hey, did I ever tell you that my great great grand really? Or finally, hey, I'm gonna go walk around, look at some stuff. All right, go ahead, man. I got it, man. I'm like, thank God, finally, by myself, and I'll get people to sign up for the Sons of Union Veterans, and I'll sell books, man. I got this. I finally got space to work the table without somebody, you know. And as soon as that guy gets up and leaves, now the guy working behind me at the Sons of Confederate Veterans sees a window, comes over and goes, "Hey, did I ever tell you about my ancestor?" For fuck's sake, man, there is no escape. All right, I'm done ranting about that. So, I love working shows. They're exhausting to me because you got to be on. And Saturday, Friday we went in, we set it up. Saturday, got up early, 6 o'clock. Was there by 8, set up. Ran the show until 2. Drove up to Mansfield Station, played Jewel Fest. That in itself. I think I was saying this earlier. I try to play 15 minutes, 10 minutes off. You got to play all the way through it because it's nonstop people. You're in. It's basically Mansfield Station is like a wooden 18th century fortress, and so there's all these little cabins. So Paul and I are in a cabin, and everybody's playing in different cabins, and the people come in, candlelit, everything's really nice. Come home, make dinner for Laura and me, go to bed, get up at 6, go out to back out to the show in Franklin, and came home. That ended at 3. Came home, dead. Just finished. So anyway, enough of that. So what's going on with me? Okay, a couple things. Mexico My Love is only 99 cents for the Kindle version, all the way through Monday. Right? And then it's going to be 99 pence in the UK. Sorry, I know the quid was worth more than $1, so you guys actually pay a little bit more. I'm sorry about that. That'll be a 99 pence. That's Mexico My Love. And then a week from Tuesday, Blood for Blood will be at 99 cents in the US, and then 99 pence in the UK the following week. So if you want to catch those deals, like I said before, down in the notes is the sign up for my email list. The other things are, and I'll probably put something out on at least social media, if not to my email list, is, the other thing I want to say about the last weekend is I got a bunch of people signed up for the email list. So those are my 2 big goals, is to get more signups for the emails and to get and to sell books. Saturday, I'm playing the Saunders Christmas. So the Saunders are a friend of mine. The friends of mine. They are Mrs. and Mr. Claus. They're Claus impersonators. They have a house out in Smithville, Tennessee. It's in the middle of the state. It's a little bit of a drive, and they do a beautiful thing. They love Christmas. They love being the Clauses. They turn their house into the North Pole. It's all decked out. They have all this food, and then they put the word out there. It's free. Come bring your kid. Um, Come sit on Santa's lap and tell them what you want for Christmas, and get your iPhone out, take a picture. And this is Smithville, Tennessee. It's at least an hour or two away from any metropolitan area. A lot of these kids are poor. A lot of them are don't even speak English. You know, a lot of them are immigrants. We got poor white kids. We got black kids. We got Haitians, Mexican kids. Man, they're all coming here to see Santa, and I'm playing the fiddle. I'm playing Christmas tunes on the fiddle, and there's cookies, and everybody's nice, and it's a nice thing. It makes me feel good, and they pay me, which I'm a terrible human being for accepting it, but it is kind of a drive. And it's Saturday. I just got a gig today. It is the Jane Austen Society, the Nashville chapter of it. I think the Jane Austen Society is worldwide. And they're fans of Jane Austen, and so they're going to pay me. It's a paying gig. It's just me by myself, and I'm going to be playing Christmas tunes. Oh, they're gonna do some caroling, and they had a violinist, and the violinist crapped out on him. So they got the next best thing, fiddler. So this woman, I know her through some of the other things, but she got a hold. She's like, "Hey, I know it's last minute. Do you think you can do it?" I go, "Yeah." I showed her my list of my Christmas tunes. She's like, "Yeah, we want to do these tunes right here, and can you do? We're here to do some wassailing or whatever the name of the tune is." I said, "I can work on it. I'll see if I can work that up. I'll work on that tonight." And that's free and open to the public. It's at the Buchanan House from 2 to 4 in Nashville. I'll put something out on it. So if you want to get interested in that, I said, "Yeah, I'm a fan of Jane Austen." Then I realized I didn't know as much as I thought I did. So this is one of the great things about living in the modern era. Excuse me. I jumped on to the library site and downloaded Jane Austen's first book because I never read. I always meant to, So I downloaded, I think, Sense and Sensibility. Is your first one? Is that one or Pride and Prejudice? I think Sense and Sensibility. So I downloaded that, and I'm gonna try to read as much of it as possible. I'm taking a break from the book I'm reading now, and I'm gonna read Jane Austen, so I can talk a little bit. I'm only playing for a little bit of it, so I can have some knowledge of it, and it's good for me as a writer because Jane Austen, right? Every writer should read at least one Jane Austen book. And the reason why I say that, well, not me. I write science fiction, or I write horror, but yeah, you might write science fiction or horror or historical military like me, or romance or whatever, but you really should have a little bit of understanding of other genres, right? Because I write historical military fiction, but there's romance in my novels. There are love stories. I try to have some kind of romantic aspect to every one of my novels. There's horror in I use, it's not horror like slashers or monsters, but I use a lot of horror techniques to build suspense and tension. And sometimes the character thinks there's a monster or a ghost, So Jane Austen is, the master of that, the emotional and the complex relationships and things like that. And, I always say I write for 12-year-old boys, but some of my biggest readers are women. And so to have to understand a little bit of how everything works and how you can incorporate it. I mean, you still have to live up to the expectations and the tropes of your genre, for sure. But there's so much that you can borrow from others to enrich it, including elements of horror and elements. And by the way, someone writing romance novels, you might need to know how to write a little bit of military stuff for your dashing, Scottish lieutenant who's gonna sweep the lass off her feet and rub his kilt up against her or something. Anyway, okay, I've gone too far. So let me just pull up my calendar here just to say if there's anything that I want to tell you about. That's this weekend. I think that's it. I think that's the last. Yeah, I don't need to do that. I think it's the last weekend where I got any gigs until after Christmas, and then, well, you know what? I am gonna pull up because I'm dumb and I can't remember anything. Screen share. Window, and here we go. Notes. Oh, I'm hungry. I'm gonna start cooking dinner after this. I still have a lot to do. I gotta upload all those, type in all those emails I got from my email list, and then set up an email to go out tomorrow because the UK sale. Not that anybody that I got today cares about UK sales, but where is my? Oh, I know it's under set lists. Come on, there we go. Gig list. Okay, and browser can't access. Okay, let's try that again. All right, closes. I'm having a little difficulty. Okay, you don't need to see it. I just need to see it. Oh, there it is. Okay, bam. All right. All right, we win. That's not what I wanted to look at. Like that. And there we go. That's what I want. All right. The whole get insurance thing. I'm not doing that actually. I found out that my deadline for the ACA is not the 15th of this month, it's 15th of next month. Okay, so tomorrow, hang on. That's what I want to do. Tomorrow's date night with Laura. It's actually Laura bought tickets to something to go with her girlfriend, and her friend can't go, so she's like, you gotta be my girlfriend for the night. I'm like, okay. So Wednesday and Thursday morning, well, no one can come to this, but Paul and I are teaming up with the White House Inn Museum in White House, Tennessee, to do Pioneer Days, and we're doing. We've been going to different elementary schools in Sumner counties and presenting. And Paul and I, we wear period dress, and Paul and I do do the music, and we play old timey music for the kids. Oh yeah, that's just updated. Let's see what happened there. All right, I'll have to fix this. Oh, I see what's going on. Okay. Then and we're doing that Wednesday and Thursday. You know what? I'm trying to do too much on the fly. I need to just stop doing things, and I'll figure it out later. Okay, Saturday is the Saunders. Sunday is the Jane Austen thing at the Buchanan House. Got rid of these because they're just trying to rip me off, and it's not my teeth; it's the tumor. Okay, March 7th and 8th is the Mid-South Military History and Civil War show. My mom might be there. This is in New Haven, Mississippi, just north of Memphis. Hopefully the new book will be out. And then everything so far after that. I know in May we're going to be doing one of those farm to dinner things again at the Head Farm. That's always fun. In June, Saturday the 5th, we're doing evening at Elmwood. That's our cemetery out in Springfield. Danny is in charge of that. He basically they have a historical graveyard, and they pick like a bunch of people that are buried there, and they tell their story by having their ghosts. They have actors that play their ghosts and come out of the they come out and tell their stories, and then kind of rinse and repeat. And then the next October, I'll be doing Morgan on the Rim and Morgan Returns. And that's what I have on the books for right now. The new book, The French Fiasco, I am in the middle of part 5, which is the last part. I basically, at this point, know everything that needs to happen. There's a few things I still have to figure out how it happens, but I'm plugging away at that. I would love to have that done by the end of this month, and then start a 90-day pre-order and start working on editing and have it out maybe by March, but no promises. And then I'll start writing the novella. Okay, I'm gonna let you go. I love you. By the way, please, by all means, if you have a writer that you like and you want to support, whether it's me or someone else, give them some stars on Amazon and Goodreads. I had a friend of mine. He's like, "Hey man, I want to post a review of your book." I go, "Oh my god, thank you so much!" And he did. It was a wonderful review, but it's not on Amazon, so I'm kind of nervous. But I want to ask him, like, "Hey, do you think you could put that on Amazon too? Because I really need it there." But give reviews, 5-star ratings if you're willing. Write a couple lines. Hey, great book. I really loved it. It helps out a lot on Amazon and Goodreads. Keep reading, keep writing if you're a writer. Sorry I took off so much time. I want to keep this up because it's good for me. It's a skill that I'm practicing, and I'm grateful to have you. If you didn't subscribe to my channel, please do. It doesn't cost anything. You just get notified when you're on that. Even if you don't get notifications, it'll just show you if you go to your subscriptions that I have a new video out. All right. Take care. And Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy holidays and all that. And I love you. And that's it.